Hello and welcome. I'm Harry Waters and you're watching Renewable English. Today's lesson is all about the weekly shop and it's called Let's Get Drastic on Plastic. We're going to be talking about all of the different aspects of shopping and looking at how we can reduce our plastic use. We have got a cracking lesson in store for you today. We've got our unfun facts, we've got our top tips, we've got an interview with an incredibly inspirational young lady called Amy from Kids Against Plastic. So stay tuned, don't forget, subscribe and give us a follow. Let's have a look at today's objectives. We want to raise plastic awareness. We're going to look for alternatives. We're going to think about how we can make a change. We're going to have some top tips on reducing plastic usage. And of course, as always, we're going to make our planet promise. So, let's check out the vocabulary that we went over in the vocab shorts section on Monday. Remember, you've got the sign there if you need to pause it. Take a few seconds and connect the pictures to the words. I think you've had enough time now. So, the first picture are single-use plastics. Plastics that we use only once and then throw away. The next one there is upcycle. When you take something old or something that you consider to be waste and you make it into something better. Next is litter, and they're the bits of plastic and paper that you see all over the floor. Then dump. Dump is to drop or to get rid of something that you don't want anymore. Microplastics are the tiny, 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 tiny bits of plastic that clog up fish's gills, get inside all of our favorite ocean animals, also in your food. And the last picture there is mankind's answer to plastic. Put it in landfill. Is that really an answer? I don't think so. Now I'm going to hand you over to my beautiful assistant. Yes, we all know he's not that beautiful. For some unfun facts. When we come back, we'll ask some questions. Unfun facts! Estimates suggest that plastic can last anywhere from 450 years to forever. 40% of plastic that's bought gets tossed after one use. Stop buying single-use plastics. In 1950, the world's plastic production was about 2.1 million tons. By 2015, however, it was 405 million tons a year. Ridiculous. More than 6.3 billion tons of plastic waste has been produced. How much has been recycled? 9%. How much has been burnt? About 12%. The rest, 79%, has been sent to landfill. That's just not okay. Let's see how many of those facts you can remember with a little true or false quiz. A plastic bottle will be around for about 100 years. What do you think? More than 40% of plastic is used just once, then tossed. World plastic production has increased from 2.1 million tons in 1950 to 405 million tons by 2015. More than 6.3 billion tons of plastic waste has been generated. Around 20% of that was recycled, 5% was burnt, and 75% was sent to landfills. What do you think? Are they true or are they false? Let's check now. A plastic bottle will be around for about 100 years. True or false? What do you think? False. Estimates for how long plastic endures range from 450 years to forever. Number 2, more than 40% of plastic is used just once, then tossed. That's true. Stop buying single-use plastics and be plastic clever. We'll learn more about that in a while. World plastic production has increased from 2.1 million tons in 1950 to 405 by 2015. Got a bit confused with the day there. That's true. But if we don't buy it, they won't make it. More than 6.3 billion tons of plastic waste has been generated. Around 20% of that was recycled, 5% was burnt, and 75% was sent to landfill. That is false. Only 9% has been recycled. So, is recycling the savior it's made out to be? We'll hear more about that in our interview with Amy. Right then, got my list, got my reusable bag, got my mask. Let's go shopping. It's almost as if bananas don't have their own wrappers. Don't forget to protect your tomatoes and carrots with lots of single-use plastic. Leek and celery are two of my favourite veg, but do they need so much plastic? Here are two products I don't know very much about, but I do know that disposable razors and sanitary towels have other options. But what are they? Don't get me started on bottled water. I don't have much hair left, but when I do want to wash it, I almost always have to get a plastic bottle. I like a nice clean house, but do we really need to get new bottles every time? I don't think so. I love sweets. So much plastic? Come on, how about a pick and mix? How many of those things that I picked are at the supermarket can you remember? You don't have to be specific with the fruit and veg. So I gave you one clue there, straight away. There's lots of veg. Do you remember which veg? Leeks, celery, and then I guess you could say tomatoes, although we all know they're technically a fruit. Fruit. We had a look at the bananas, didn't we? There was plenty more. Sweets. Oof. One of my weaknesses, I have to say. We looked at sanitary products we looked at shampoo, and we looked at razors. 3 things I don't buy very often. And then, of course, we also looked at cleaning products. But can you think of any alternatives? Oh, I almost forgot because I hate it that much. We also looked at the bottled water, but the less we talk about that, the better. So here, we've got the different products that we saw, and they're plastic-free or plastic-reduced alternatives. Hit the pause button and see if you can join them together. Let's have a look now. Fruit and veg. Well, you go to the greengrocer, don't you? Sweets. As I mentioned, get a pick and mix or eat some fruit. Sanitary products. I've been told that I believe it's called a moon cup. Works great for reducing plastic. Shampoo. You can get the shampoo bars. Bottled water. The obvious option for bottled water is just fill up a bottle yourself or fill up a glass. It's not that difficult. Razors. I guess I'll be getting myself one of those when it gets a bit warmer, perhaps. I'm not sure I dare shave. And then cleaning products. Just get the refillable version. Don't throw out that spray bottle every time. Just grab a refillable one. It's not all that difficult. So now we're moving on to our very special guest, Amy Meek from Kids Against Plastic. We had an incredible interview on Sunday. You can see the whole thing over on the YouTube channel. We've only got about 4 minutes of it for this class. Trust me, it's worth checking the whole thing out. But before we start, let's have a look at some of the vocabulary we're going to be talking about. Reusable alternative. This is something we thought about with the shopping list a moment ago. Cutlery. Inspire. And charity. Have a pause and see which image you think that belongs to. And then we'll continue. Are we ready for some definitions? I thought so. So what's this first one? It's a charity. Kids Against Plastic is a registered charity. What's a charity? They're organizations who raise money and awareness to help a worthy cause. Next. Inspire. To inspire is to fill someone with the urge or ability to do or feel something. If you're looking for inspiration, we're not far away from a very inspirational young lady. Cutlery. Nice forks and spoons. And a reusable alternative is replacing a single-use plastic with something you can use more than once. We're going to click over now to our interview with Amy Meek from Kids Against Plastic to learn more about what we can do to reduce our plastic use and become more plastic clever. Hello and welcome to our 4th interview on Renewable English. Today we have a super special guest. Probably our most famous guest so far. It's Amy Meek, the co-founder of Kids Against Plastic. Hello, Amy.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. As you know, I am a huge fan. So the first question, which I'm sure a lot of people are asking at home, what is Kids Against Plastic?
So Kids Against Plastic is an educational charity that I founded with my younger sister Ella back in February 2016, so about 5 years ago. And it's basically all about encouraging people to reduce their usage of single-use plastic in ways that are manageable. So we run a Plastic Clever initiative to encourage people to stop using 4 main items of plastic, which are single-use cups and lids, straws, bottles and bags. We also do litter picks, so we've picked up over 90,000 pieces of plastic out of our 100,000 goal. And we also do a lot of work with young people. It's in the name of our charity, and we're inspiring young people to take action for what they believe in is a really important part of what we do.
Well, it seems to be working as well, I have to say. You mentioned inspiring young people, which is amazing, but what inspired you in the first place, you and your sister, to start Kids Against Plastic?
So we started it when we were being homeschooled at the time by our parents, and we were studying something called the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And they're basically these large world goals that were created by world leaders in order to tackle some really important problems around the world. And through studying some of these goals on things like climate action and life below water, we came across this really big issue of plastic pollution. And this was quite a few years ago. So it was before this massive media explosion that we've got around plastic pollution. And we had really never heard of this issue before. And we thought if we ourselves as ordinary people had no idea the impact that our lifestyle was having on the planet, then it's likely that other people wouldn't too. So we just thought, if we can do our small bit to try and raise awareness, then that's something that's really, it might make a positive difference. And we also saw that as the future generation, this is literally an issue that we're going to inherit from our parents. So if we don't do anything about it, then who's to say that someone else will?
And again, as I say, you are doing a lot about it and it is brilliant. But I would like to know, so you've achieved so much already, but what is your ultimate goal?
That's a really good question. I think there's, still a lot to do with plastic pollution, and we're very passionate about trying to encourage more people to become plastic clever. So getting as many people, and in particular schools and businesses as possible, to become more plastic clever would be amazing.
Now, I've read quite a bit about your plastic clever schools.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell me some more about that one?
Definitely, yeah. Plastic Clever Schools is a really important part of our charity, and we've developed an initiative called Plastic Clever Schools, which is about encouraging schools and students to stop using a few key items of plastic, which are single-use cups and lids, straws, bottles, bags, and also cutlery, and instead encourage students to use reusable alternatives or use different materials instead.
So a huge pat on the back from everyone here at Renewable English, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much as well for your support. We just started this as a really small kind of youth social action project, and for it to have come as far as it has is still incredible for us. So thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me to be included in Renewable English as well.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. And when it gets a bit warmer here, I'll be changing my hat. I've got my eye on a fancy trucker's hat. So
brilliant.
wearing that when it warms up a bit here. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Incredible. As I mentioned before, the full-length interview is available on the YouTube channel. Let's see how much you were listening. Let's check out some questions. What is Kids Against Plastic, and when was it founded? Have a think. To be plastic clever, which are the 4 main items we need to reduce or remove? If you need to rewind to check your answers, please feel free. What inspired Amy and her sister to start Kids Against Plastic? Was it Renewable English's inspiring classes? Maybe? Was it a project based around the UN Sustainable Development Goals? Or was it some rubbish they saw at the beach? other than the four main plastics that Amy speaks about, what extra items do plastic clever schools look at? And then finally, what type of hat does Harry say he wants to get from kidsagainstplastic.co.uk? So there are your questions. Have a think. We're going to look at the answers in just a moment. I think we might be ready for some answers. Let's check it out. What is Kids Against Plastic and when was it founded? Well, Kids Against Plastic is an educational charity and it was founded, oh, I'm covering that up there, aren't I? In February 2016. So as Amy said, about 5 years ago. What were you doing 5 years ago? To be plastic clever, which are the four main items of plastic we need to reduce or ideally remove completely? Plastic cups and lids, well, could use one of these instead. Straws, bottles, and bags. I think we can all agree it's quite easy to find an alternative to these four items. What inspired Amy and her sister to start Kids Against Plastic? It was a project based around the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Other than the four main plastics that Amy speaks about, what extra items do plastic clever schools think about? It's cutlery, very good. And finally, what type of hat does Harry want to buy from kidsagainstplastic.co.uk? It's not a trendy top hat. It's not a fabulous fez. It is a fancy trucker's hat. And I tell you what, it will be mine. Now it's time for this week's top tips. So I'm going to hand you over to Ali and our good friend Mila to give you some advice on how to reduce our plastic use and be more plastic clever. Take it away, Ali.
Welcome to Ali and Mila's Top Tips. For a veg at a local greengrocer. Don't forget to bring your own bags, not plastic ones. When you're out for a walk, grab a glove, give the planet some love. Upcycle your plastic and cartons. We're gonna make a bird feeder. Don't use a single-use plastic. Use a reusable alternative. Plastic straws are rubbish. Why not eat them when you're done? Thanks for watching. Bye.
Thanks as always, Ali and Mila. Very informative. Now, if you'd like to make a video, please feel free. Maybe upcycle something or go on a litter pick with your friends. Don't forget a glove. Get an adult to record it. Send it into the socials. Maybe share it on your stories. It's up to you. Now, we've only got one more thing to do today, and that is make our planet promise. So, I, Harry Waters, promise to stop using single-use plastics and pick up any litter I see on the street. What's your planet promise? Write it in the comments or send it to us on the socials, which are all coming up now. That's all we've got time for today. Next week, we're going to be looking a bit more at plastics and, of course, the oceans. So please join us then. Thanks very much. Playing us out now is a very special poet called Word Gorilla. is a great friend of mine and collaborator with Renewable English. Now you're going to hear his poem now, but tomorrow we're going to look at it in more detail with a super fun learning activity to go with it. So thanks very much, and take it away, Mr. Word Gorilla.
Let me tell you, down by the ocean, down by the sea, there are lots of bits of plastic and they're floating around me. Fish are swimming through it and it's clogging up their gills. It's suffocating fish is really what we will. Up on the hillside by the river over there, everywhere you walk there is plastic everywhere. There's bags in the bushes, there's wrappers under rocks. It seems to me the whole wide world, it needs a telling off. Well, plastic's cheap to make, but what's the real cost? A world full of rubbish that will never get lost. Bury it in landfill, it will never disappear. Some of it recycles, but how much is not clear. Plastic, not fantastic, gives the earth a nasty sting, and we must slow producing this non-organic thing. It's filthing up our homes, rivers, lands, and seas. And only you can stop this and change this. You're the key.